Hey guys, Luke here, and what can I say? Two videos of reviews in a single week. Yeah, I'm back on form now. Before we get into the review, I just want to say that when the next episode comes out, I will be discussing it along with the next chapter, which will be chapter 119, which is coming out this week. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because I feel like, in terms of the animation, I feel like it's on top form here. And a lot of you know what Sister Crow was and what she was capable of, and how threatening she could actually be, especially with those facial expressions. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that and seeing how well they convey that. But also as well, because this week today actually I've been talking about the fight with Lewis on the Discord, the Promised Neverland Discord, with other people who've read the manga, and we've just been discussing it. It's been a nice little chat, so it was really nice to talk to those guys and to give my own opinion on why I thought the fight with Lewis was really well done, and the ending wasn't a Deus Ex Machina. It took me a while to get through, but I think I managed to convey my idea across to them. But again, like I said, it was nice to actually just have a discussion with them. And also as well, the reason why I'm talking about the animation is because I have seen Controlled Chaos's video on the anime, and I do agree with the points that they had, that taking away the narration from Emma, that was a huge mistake on the anime's part. I mean, I still love the episode, but taking away that actually took away an aspect of Emma's character, which I feel like is really needed. Like the fact that we get to hear her narration and get to explore what's going on in her mind and her inner thoughts, which shows that she is a complete character, also giving us the opportunity to actually think like her and actually feel like we are Emma and we're actually there with her on the journey. And taking away that, I just feel like it loses a little bit of the heart of what the Promised Neverland actually is, the inner thoughts of the characters and what they're actually thinking and how much they're actually struggling to survive. But that's what I wanted to say on those issues. And also as well, I'm continuing writing. I'm working on my third book at the moment and hoping to get well into that, which is going to be a ghost story, which I'm really looking forward to do because I'm always interested in the supernatural. Even things that may be a guilty pleasure like Paranormal Activity, I'm really interested in just the supernatural in general. So my next story is a ghost story, so I'm hoping to get really stuck into that. But for now, let's get into another horror aspect. Alright guys, today I'm going to do a review on all the other chapters that I didn't manage to get over the Christmas period. That was going to be chapters 116, 117 and 118. So you might want to get a few snacks or anything or something like that, because it may take me a little while to get through this. Considering the last video that I did, the one on 115, took 40 minutes. If I was going to do all 4 chapters within that time frame as well, it would have been too long, and it really was too long. So I feel like doing it here, even though it's going to be long, I feel like it might be more feasible in this regard. But anyway, getting into it, this will be chapter 116, titled Infiltrating the Cage. And we start off with the cover page, which shows Emma and Ray just sneaking around that little plantation that they're actually going to go to find the medicine for Christy, which I feel like gets back into that, like the tactical nature of what makes the Promised Neverland so good. And we see like them sneaking around with a demon, like going upstairs and they're going downstairs. So it's a really clever title page, and I'm really glad that they started out with this, so it just adds to much more suspense that they're going to be in this situation. So the chapter starts off immediately from the end of the last chapter with Hatsune saying to Emma, like, we know there's a plantation around and we can get medicine for Christy. And Emma's going, infiltrating a plantation, and Hatsune goes on, yes, it's a mass production farm that's around 5 kilometers west from the place that they're actually at, and that they've snuck in before to get supplies, and there are many kinds of medicine, and they think that that's what Chris needs. And as they're discussing this, Sack, I believe it's Sack, no, it's Oliver. It's Oliver that goes, makes sense, and then Ray goes, I agree, I get it as well. And he goes on to say that these two maneuver, it's not easy to produce supplies for hundreds of people, so they're getting them from the farms by attacking or stealing, which again makes sense that they're using actually the enemy's supplies against them to actually help their kind. And the fact that they've got the kids out of the plantations now means that, okay, now we've got the kids out, we can actually infiltrate and get supplies that we need in order to set a course for our next stage of our mission, which is to infiltrate every single human from Demon World in order to get into Human World. Although, like I said, even if they do manage to get into Human World, which I'm fairly confident, like, that's going to be the last part of the actual arc itself. Like, we're going to actually go into Human World, and they're actually going to find out, like, they're not as welcomed as they thought that they would be, and they would have to go into hiding in the Human World as well until they can actually come up with a plan of what to do next. As everybody is discussing about what they can actually do, if this is really their only option, they come to the conclusion that it is. And Hatsui says that if they go now and they get the medicine, that they can be back here by sunset, and Emma volunteers herself to go along. Again, being the main character, we kind of knew that this was what was going to be expected, that Emma would actually be the one to go, but she does come up with a valid reason, like they only need to get the medicine and they should keep the group small, so it's quick in and quick out, so it should just be Hatsui and Emma at the bare minimum, or the bare maximum, whichever you want to go with it, should actually go, which again makes sense since Hatsui knows the plantations, knows how they're structured, and he can guide Emma to the medicine, and he can just get the medicine and get back out. And so Hatsui agrees to that, and Emma orders Shin to stay behind, and if worse comes to worse, don't wait after nightfall. If they haven't returned by then he should take everybody to Minerva's place, which again makes sense on Emma's part, and how she's being like their sort of leader and the big sister figure to all of these other kids. The fact that if they're not back there, then there's no point in them staying around, because they could be attacked at any point and they could be killed, so it's safer for them to actually just go on without them, because if Emma does make it out in that regard with Hatsui, they can easily just get back themselves, because they're smart enough and they're tactical enough to actually do that. Even though Hatsui looks scared in the last chapter, he has demonstrated that he can be tactful in certain points, as demonstrated in the 2 chapters that have been from his introduction. As Emma goes on to say, like, she needs one more person, the one who knows medicine, because again, even if they get to the medicine, Emma probably won't know what medicines would work best for Christy in this situation, so she needs someone who knows a lot about medicine to actually point out, no, this is the ones that we actually need, we don't need these other ones, because I guarantee that she probably would have taken all of them if it was just her and Hatsui. Even though I said that they would be at the bare minimum or the bare maximum, I feel like Emma was tactful enough to, like, okay, I don't know much about medicine, but I know people in this group that have studied medicine in the 2 years and know a lot more than I personally know, so I need them to come along with me to actually pinpoint, like, oh, we need this, we don't need that. So initially she asks Sak if he can help her with her with this mission, since in their eyes at the moment Sak's the best one to know about medicine. But of course Anna is the one to step up and say to Emma, let me go instead please. And Laimi and Tomo are like, huh, Anna? And even Ray's shocked, and Anna goes on to say, you realise it too, the most rational choice is to leave Sak here for Chris's sake, and not only his. What if something happens? What if the demons of the Ratari clan attack with everybody crowded together like this? Sak is the only one with the most experienced battle power and skilled in dealing with them, and Sandy's equally good too. And again, it shows how much observant these kids have actually been, even the ones that are in the background, like Anna, Don and Gilda at this point in the story. They've been, the fact that they've been observing everyone in the 2 years and knowing like what their strengths are, what the weaknesses are, and how tactically they can actually divide their forces so that they have the best possibility of surviving. That's, to me, that just shows just how much they've been developing as kids over the years. Even though we haven't actually seen it, the fact that they're showing us now and telling us, oh, this is what we've learned over the years, and this is how I feel we can best divide our forces. I feel like it's really commendable on their part, not just on the characters but also on the author and the artist. And to actually give Anna like the spotlight in this regard goes back to what I was saying about the younger kids, how they haven't actually had much spotlight since escaping Gracefield House, and the fact that they're actually being thrown into the spotlight now and actually showing like, okay, what they've learned learn and what they can contribute to the group is really impressive. Even though this is technically a filler side mission, it's still very important for Anna's character to show, like, okay, I can help with the group and I need to step up to the plate in this regard. As everybody is debating whether or not Anna's the true is actually the one that should be the one to go with Emma and Hathaway, Sak and Sak and Sandy are the ones to step in and say, no, they are right, because she has not only been studying medication, but everything related to healthcare, and she's putting a lot of effort into studying over the course of those years that they can't compare. And we see a flashback of Anna just looking at a book and with Lucas actually guiding her, sort of like being her teacher, but also being impressed by her, like, just, and you can see like just the determination on her face, just in that one panel, just how much she's like really focusing and really like wanting to learn, not just for her sake, but also to actually support her family, as we see Emma, Ray, Jemima and Nate all smiling as well when they're in like that in a flashback when they're in that hospital room, which again, even though we're only learning about it now, the fact that we are learning about it and like seeing like, okay, these are what certain characters have been learning about over the years, even though Anna may not be as skilled as Emma in terms of like physical ability and wielding weapons, she is most skilled at being like the healer of the group. And you need healers, particularly in this situation. You need them to survive in this world, because otherwise, even if you got out from the plantations, if you didn't have any healers, then you would all be dead. Eons ago. Sandy goes on to say that she learned incredibly fast and quickly, remembered everything, that even at her current level, it left even Lucas impressed. And we just see this little moment of just Anna just blushing and just being like really shy and being like, oh, don't flatter me. I'm really flattered, but I'm not that good. Like, you know, that moment when people are like, oh my god, I've just been praised, but I don't feel like I deserve this praise. And just that blush, it's just makes her so kawaii, as it would go. I know I'm being a weeaboo when I say that, but I don't care at this point. And Sak goes, let her go. With Anna there, even if they're lacking the proper medicine, she will find a way. And again, I can believe that now, because even though we had the time skip, I can believe that some characters would be developing in various other aspects, not just combat to combat these demons, but also if they did actually get injured and they didn't know the various situations, like, okay, someone's been stabbed in the stomach, how can we solve this? They would have been dead eons ago. So I can believe that some people took to like learning medicine as opposed to learning combat, and Anna is the one that's pretty much embodied this. But they also go on to say that they understand why everybody's worried, and again, that makes sense because they're going into a territory that they don't know anything about. They could be attacked at any point, but the fact that Ray's going to go with them is a brilliant idea, because then if they are attacked, Ray can just whip out his gun and just shoot demons, because he is that quick at this point. Emma as well, but Ray especially could be even more quick in terms of drawing his gun and just shooting. And Ray has demonstrated that he's not afraid to shoot anything at this point if it means saving his family, as demonstrated when he was going to shoot Andrew, as I mentioned in the last chapter. Even though Hugo didn't want him to do it, the fact that he was willing to do it shows that he would be more quick to just shoot them rather than ask questions or discuss things. As everybody goes on to tease them and Julian goes, these two have been super nervous for a while now because of that. Yeah, it's a bit like Hugo, which is what Amy says, and we see Ray just being like, oh my god, I guess he rubbed off on me. And again, I just can't get over the fact that Ray and Hugo, they have to be related in some way. They have to be, because they're just too similar to each other. Again, like I said, they both started off very similar, both ended up very similar because of the interactions they've had with others. And I just can't get over that, but they have to be related in some way, and especially here, how Hugo has rubbed off on Ray so much that they're actually starting to see that in him. Just makes me think like they have to be related. I don't know how cousin, uncle, father or brother. I don't know, but I'm still holding up for the fact that Ray and Hugo are uncle and nephew, because of just how similar like Hugo, Ray and Isabella were in terms of characters, how all three were more cold, elusive characters, maybe seen like as bit of villainy, but as we got to know more about them and how complex in nature they all were, and they just weren't all the time called elusive bastards. They actually had reasons for them, and as they learnt more about others and about the situation and how it might be possible, they started to lighten up, particularly Hugo and Ray, especially Hugo, how even though when he first introduced, he didn't want anything to do with them, but as he slowly started to warm up to them, he was willing to he sacrificed himself in order to give them a chance to escape and create a better future. And that's similar to what Ray did at the end of the Escape for Gracefield House, before they actually had to pull that BS of, no, he is alive. And that's the thing, I wouldn't have minded so much of that actually happening if it happened the same way, if it was just like Ray drops the match, goodbye Emma, and was reaching out for him saying Ray, but we don't get the explosion, we just get Emma screaming Ray, and that's the end of that chapter. I would have been all right with that, because it still has the same emotional cliffhanger, but it doesn't like tease us in the way that it does, like, oh, Ray's dead, oh no it isn't, it's like, oh my god, is Emma going to catch that match or not? And then we don't find out until the middle of the next chapter. But again, Ray was willing to sacrifice himself, not just to give Emma a chance to escape, but also to give him a chance to actually live without being food. And it's the same thing with Hugo as well. He gave them a chance to actually escape, but also he didn't want to be food for the demons in the same way. And I feel like that whole aspect of those two characters just makes me think that they are related in some way. And again with Isabella, like she was doing what she did because she felt like she had nothing else in life, and she wanted to survive as long as possible, in the same way that Hugo and Ray did. And like I said, those all aspects gets me feeling that they are related, and we're going to find out something about that as we go along, if Isabella is still alive. As everybody agrees to this, and Emma says we will be back before sunset, and we will have the medicine that we need. And Hatsue is saying to them, let's go. We get a scene of them, of Anna, Ray and Emma just crowding around Christy and being like, Christy, just hold on a little longer, we'll get the medicine for you. And then we see Anna just tying her hair back in a like ponytail to show a newfound determination. And I love this moment because it reminded me so much of what happened in Pokemon Sun and Moon with Lily's character, how after a certain event had happened, how she was going to go into a certain area that she knew was potentially dangerous. She tied her hair back in a similar manner to what Anna's doing here, to show a newfound determination of her character. And it's the same thing with Anna's character here. So if that's where it's come from, then I really like how they took inspiration from Lily's character, because Lily started off as like this pure innocent girl, but as the story got on, we saw a newfound determination in her. And Anna's the same thing here, like we're seeing a newfound determination from her, even though she knows she's going into a situation that she could end up being killed. She's knowing the risks, and by tying her hair back, it just shows like and the look on her face of just like the determination on her face shows just how, even though she's scared, she's actually putting on a brave face and mustering the courage to actually go through with this. So as they reach the plantation, Hatsue goes on to say, don't worry, it's a low-grade mass production plantation, so security is weak, and there are a few demons. They rely on machines. Just avoid the cameras and sensors and we won't be seen. Oh my god. You know, that is going to come back to bite them in the ass, and I know I'm being fake here, but yes, seriously, it is going to come back to bite them in the ass, which means even though we're going to get some action in this chapter, the fact that he said that kind of was like, oh my god, they're actually going to be seen by the demons. This is further followed up with Hatsue going on to say, however, I'd like you to be as quiet as possible once they're in there. The cameras respond to sound, and as soon as they spot us, the demons will come after them with all they've got. And even though Emma says got it, she's still thinking that it's crucial to stay stealthy and unseen and get out as soon as possible. And again, this is one of the aspects that I feel like the anime is lacking, the fact that we're getting these inner thoughts from the characters, and just seeing just how much it's affecting them on a personal level without it actually being said to us in such an awkward manner with the dialogue. I feel like the fact that they're cutting that out and not having any inner thoughts is just gonna very much taint the anime's story in that regard, because even though My Hero Academia had 13 episodes. The fact that they only had 21 chapters to work with gave them a lot more in terms of what they could actually keep in rather than cut out. But with Promised Neverland, the fact that we're only getting 12 episodes with 37 chapters, something is going to be cut, and I feel like, oh my god, a lot of the inner dialogue is actually going to be cut in that regard, which is again one of the aspects of the series that just makes it so good. The fact that we're getting the inner thoughts of the characters, and they're actually characters rather than cogs in a machine. So as they sneak around through the plantation, through the sewers, and actually get into the plantation itself, Artery explains like there's a camera to the right, so they have to be really careful, but the medicine is at the far end of the corridor, so as long as they're not detected by the cameras or the sensors, they should be fine to just sneak in, get the medicine, and get back out as quickly as possible. And then we see like two demons just watching like monitors, like being security guards, but actually being bored, which I can imagine like that must be a really boring job to have, unless something is happening. Just watching security cameras of just an entire area. It doesn't have to be like a farm or anything. Like just watch security cameras in a mall or something. Even though there may be stuff even though some days there might be like thievery going on, and it might be exciting. Most days probably are just like them just sitting around being like, oh, this is boring. When's my shift ending? Wish something would happen. And again the demons bring this up by going, these days they keep telling us to do extra work, and yeah, something about thieves increasing or whatever. And I really love how, as they say, thieves are increasing or whatever, we see Hatsumi and Emma just climbing down with the rope, but they're just like so bored that they're not really paying attention, or maybe they're not getting in the sight of the camera. I can't really tell at this point. But we also hear, like, I heard another farm blew up too, which again is obviously a callback to the farm that Norman and his group blew up in chapter 114. But anyway, they continue to go on and say that, so the base warrants 10 security, eh? Right, but that's what I'm telling you. Why do we gotta be the ones doing all of these patrols again, showing just how much of boredom that these demons in, and how much they want for some excitement to happen, which I feel like is gonna happen as sooner rather than later. And sure enough, after they've said like after saying like why do we have to do the extra work, immediately after that Anna is looking around but not noticing a corner from the behind her, because she's like this, and like there's a corner behind her where a demon is actually sneaking around her, and as soon as they see it, they're like, oh my god, a demon! And Ray's immediately on it. He just shoots at the demon, clearing the eye, again showing just how much precision he's actually got with his sniper rifle. And we see on the monitors like Ray's actually fighting the demons, and the other demons are in the like security room are like, humans, and we see Ray, Emma going, Ray, and Ray telling them to run as he runs off to actually to scour if there are any more demons. And we see the alarm going off at this point. At this point, they've been discovered, and this is what Hatsumi feared the most of happening. And we see like 3 demons already getting ready to attack, and Hatsumi knows what's about to happen. And again, I was kind of worried here at this point, because we don't see him giving any like clear expression on his mouth. I was worried that he was actually trained, like he was actually leading them into a trap. But at this point, it's not. Although I was worried for a second when I first read the shutter that was what was going on, but it turns out that that's not the case. And we see him going, I'm going to help get the medicine and come back where we came from. Again, going back the route that they actually came to actually get into the plantation, which was through a sewer hole, and then they went into the sewer hole, and then they went through like a pipe which was small enough for them to get through, but not small enough for the demons to actually get through themselves. So it was their best chance of actually getting in and getting out. And the reason why Hatsumi is going off to help Ray, and he's like, that boy doesn't know the area, he's going to die. Which at this point, Ray is not going to die, although not at this point, but I feel like at a certain point Ray might actually be for the chopping block, because again, Ray has to be someone who has to die in order for Emma to actually just go over the edge and just snap, and I'm still waiting for that snap to happen. But anyway, Hatsumi goes on to say, he saved my life, I know I'm weak, but I can't stand by and do nothing. And no, you're not weak. The fact that you were able to just go out and find these kids, even though you knew it was going to be dangerous and you didn't know what was going to happen, the fact that you were able to succeed in that shows that you're not weak. And personally, if I was in this situation, in this world of demons, I'd probably just be sick sitting in a corner just sucking on my thumb like, I hope they don't find me, I hope they don't find me, I hope they don't find me. So you're braver than me, Hattori. But anyway, again, it shows like just the fact that he's an ally because he owes them a life debt because they saved his life, so now he's got to do the same thing for them. As Emma says to Anna that they've got to go and get the medicine, we see a look from Anna showing that she was obviously scared because the demon was right behind her, and she could have actually been killed in that situation when the demon went around that corner, just grabbed her and just ate her at that point. But she sees the look of determination on Emma's face and the bravery that's coming off of her face, and it sort of like drives the bravery back into her to show that she's right. This is what I came here to do. And Ray and Hattori are buying us time, and Emma and I must find the medicine, and that's where the chapter ends, with them going into this cupboard and them actually finding the medicine. And yeah, once again, it was an okay chapter. It wasn't one of the better chapters, but it was still okay. And we got some good old demon action, some Ray kicking ass, and actually we got some development from Anna's character, showing that even though she is still scared just as much as Emma is, the fact that Emma's putting on a brave face shows that she needs to step up to the plate and be like, no, I came here because I felt like I was the one that could actually do this mission better than anybody else. And again, showing like more character development for the side characters that have been so desperately needed in this situation. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this? Let me know, and I'll see you in chapter 117. Alright guys, so we're back and we're going to get into chapter 117 titled Infiltrating the Cage, part number 2. I knew this was going to happen. We've got to have the chapters that have the part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. That's basically a standard of shonen series, unless you're older. Although I can't really remember. Did Oda do any like parts 1, parts 2, parts 3, parts 4 types of chapters? Something like that. Something like Bleach was known for, like how there would be just like the Lust 1, the Lust 2, the Lust 3, the Lust 4, the Lust 5. Has Oda ever done anything like that? Because I can't really remember myself. But anyway, that was just a side note. Getting into the actual chapter itself, it starts off immediately where the last chapter left off, with Emma and Anna going into that medical cabinet, like just that medical room, and just being in astonishment about all the medical supplies, especially Emma, who's like gets the look of like, I don't know which ones there are, which again is like proof that if Emma had come here alone to get this medicine, she would not have a clue, and she'd probably just grab something that could have potentially killed Christy in that regard, especially since we see just how elaborate and how much medicine that this farm actually has. And it's just like, it probably has every single cure that you could think of known to mankind, especially at this point, since the series is like it at this point in the year 2048. I think it is 2048. It might be 2047, but I'm pretty sure it is 2048. But anyway, Anna is more calm in this situation. Like, okay, it's not this one. No, it's not this one. But then as she goes along and she finds a certain shelf, and she's like, found it. It's this shelf. And Emma's just like, okay, good. We found it. Anna goes on to say that first we need that one, pointing high up onto a shelf, like right to the top of the shelf. It's sort of like focusing on, I think it's a box. It might be a box, or it might be like sort of like a jam jar of sorts that they're actually focusing on. And we see Emma climbing up the shelves and Anna giving the determination of like, I need to hurry, and Emma going on to her saying, I'll get it, so keep looking for the others. And she's like, okay, I need to carry on. And Ray and Hayate are distracting the demons. Emma and I will find the medicine Chris needs, and we get the title page with them just looking around, which again shows just how valuable Anna has been in these last 2 chapters, and just showing how much she's developed off screen, even though we haven't seen it. And again, I get why the writers have actually done this. That the reason why that they've done it off screen is just because it would just drag the series down. It would have been nice to actually see these and actually see them develop over the years. But the fact that they want to focus on more on other aspects of the series means that some things have to be sacrificed, and the training and the development that they went through in the past 2 years, that has to be sacrificed. But the fact that we're learning about it and giving situations that they can actually develop their skills is really commendable, and showing just how much they've developed from when they first left Gracefield House. We cut back to Ray fighting the demons and being chased by those 3 demons, and him just trying to fight them as best as he can. When Hatsui finds him, and Ray is like, Hatsui, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Why are you here? And he's like, I've come to get you. And it's like, but weren't you supposed to be protecting Emma and Anna? And he says, yes, that's the reason why I've come here, because in order for them to be protected, we can't get caught either, and we need to keep running as long as we can, showing that. Yeah, Ray is just as valuable in this mission, because if they die, they're like the fighting force while they're just like scouring around getting the supplies. So they're the fighting force and keeping the demons distracted while Emma and Anna focus on the mission that they actually came for. And if they die, then the demons could actually just go and find them as quickly as possible, and actually just kill them in that regard. So yeah, it's important that Hatsui finds Ray and finds that where he's actually going, because Hatsui even stated that he ran off without even knowing where he was going, and for all you know, he could have run into a demon's claw and just be like, oh, I'm dead. So yeah, it's good that Hatsui actually found him, and we see Ray going on and saying, this guy, but then he gives off a look saying, oh, you're shaking, you're still shaking, and Hatsui goes, because I'm scared, and he goes, yet he still came. But Ray's actually thinking that yet he still came, like, it's showing that even though he is scared, Hatsui, the fact that he's actually come to get him shows that he's being much more brave than he initially anticipated for Hatsui to be, and he gives off a smile and he's like, thanks, it's a big help. And again, showing just how much character Ray has actually developed over the 2 years. He probably would have gotten more angry back at Gracefield House if this was the situation. Back at Gracefield House, he probably would have gotten even more angry and probably was going to beat Hatsui in sense, like, you should have stayed with them, but the fact that he's been like calm and letting Hatsui explain like why he actually came and why Ray needs to be alive in this situation, just shows Ray as being a much more mellow character from when he first initially started out. Ray goes on to commend Hatsui and say, you are a great guy, let's all return safely in one piece. Don't say that, because you know as soon as you say something like that, something bad is going to happen in a really, really bad way. But Hatsui goes, Ray goes, you lead the way, I can handle the demons, we'll distract them as long as we can and then escape. And Hatsui goes, yes sir. But as they're running through the base, Ray notices something passing through sort of like windows that they are, and he's like, what? And I don't know exactly what that actually implies. It might apply the paperback guy who is going to appear in this chapter. And I know I'm spoiling this, but it's obvious. People have read the chapters, they know what's going to happen. Like the paperback guy, Saisi, I think his name is pronounced. I can never pronounce his name. I've been really good at pronouncing names in this series because they've been so mundane names, but the fact that we've got names now in the final arc that are just too hard to pronounce sometimes, that's like really messing with my mind. But it might be him, or it might be what's gonna come when they actually get out of the base. As Emma and Anna have picked up all the medicine that they actually need for the mission, Anna's thinking about Hatsui and Ray and whether they've actually escaped, and Emma says they're going to be fine. Ray will protect Hatsui, and it's more likely Ray won't die if he has someone to protect. And Anna goes, you're right. And again, like I said, this shows how much development Ray's actually gone through, because again, he put at the beginning of the series, he was willing to protect Emma and Norman because they were the two that he was most closest to, but he didn't really care as much about the other two. I mean, he did care about them, but he at that point he was like, there's no point in me getting too emotionally attached to them, because we're all gonna die and we're all in this situation and there's nothing we can do, and it's only the influence of Emma and her determination that's actually developed and molded his character and the character that he is actually now. He's not this cold, elusive guy anymore. He's actually willing to fight for others in the same way that Emma's fighting to protect, because he wants to see the future now that they have the chance, that they've actually developed and built the allies up over the years. They actually do have a chance, whereas before he would have thought that that was impossible. So as Emma and Anna are escaping the plantation, Emma goes on to say, we just have to go outside and meet up with them, and then we'll go home immediately, and it's fine if we can return before sundown. and she's thinking about Christy, and that they'll be down there soon. But as soon as they reach outside where the sewer hole is, they're encountered by demons, like three of them, which might have been the demons that might have been the demons. Actually, no. Going back to what was just seen with Ray, it might be the case of like the demons weren't actually following them at that point. That might be the thing that he was alluding to. Like, what, we're not being followed at this point. They must have escaped outside. So that's probably what actually happened. The demons actually escaped outside, and Ray actually realised, wait a second, we're not being followed. What's going on? Because there's 3 demons here, so it might be the case that that's what the situation actually is. And as Emma tries to go back in, Anna is just like in a shocked state, and Emma's going, Anna, go back. There are demons out there, and that just reminds me of, there are demons in the base. Like, if you've ever seen this like fan fiction called Doom Repercussions of Evil, it's like this really bad fan fiction with like lots of grammar errors, but it's all about a soldier going, there are demons in the base, there are demons outside, well, I must kill the demons, and it's just like, and it just reminded me of that. But anyway, getting into the more serious aspects, as Emma's trying to get out, the demons grab Emma by their claws and just drag her out, and Anna's screaming her head off, going, Emma, and the demons are like, this is it. This one, it's really human. I heard a voice. There's one more down there. But then they're like, even though that they have to report them in and get to headquarters, they're obviously observing Emma, and they realise exactly who she is, and we get this really creepy image of like, oh my. No, there's not 3 demons, there's 4 demons, and it's like, and it's just like they're really getting ready to actually devour Emma, and we just see like Anna almost about to puke, like, is Emma gonna die? Is Emma gonna die? And it's just like, that's a really creepy but also really awesome shot of all 4 demons just grabbing onto Emma, and the way one of the demons has her in their hands like this, it almost thinks like they're just gonna squeeze her and just squeeze and break her body, but fortunately that doesn't happen, because I feel like the studio or the editors wouldn't have allowed that to actually happen. So as the demons realise exactly who it is, and they say, it's from Gracefield House, again showing just how arrogant these demons actually are. The fact that even though they've spent 2 years out of the house, out of Gracefield House, they're still calling the humans it, rather than actually thinking like, maybe the way they've made it out for this long is because they're not as stupid as we initially led them to believe. I mean, even though they know they're smart, compared to their levels, I feel like compared to their levels, they feel like they're smarter than the average humans. They're smarter than even the smartest humans, and Emma is no exception in this regard. And as they're all fighting on what they should do and who should eat her, Emma is going that she can't get loose, and Anna is crying her eyes out, and one of the demons is going, bon appetit, and we see them going to actually just shove Emma in their mouth, but we see Sansi just come out of nowhere and just slash the demon's brain out, and it's just like, we just see like just this geyser of blood just like pouring out of the demon's head, and it's just like, once we get to the anime, I'm talking, this is one of the parts that once we get to the anime, once it gets to the anime, this part gets to the anime, this part in the anime gets up to, I feel like this is just going to be such a glorious, because like I said at the beginning, even though the story may be lacking in some places in the anime, the fact that the animation is top notch just shows that scenes like this studio might be able to do it justice, particularly the fight with Lewis. That is one part I am actually really looking forward to, and this part is no such, just see this geyser of blood just like spilling out with this badass moment from Sansi. And as we get some more glorious, just like of Sansi just stabbing and slashing the demon's brains out, we see one of the demons is like, oh my god, okay, I need to get out of here, which again, it shows that they're not stupid, these demons, like they know like, oh, we are fucked in this situation and they're going to get out of there. But of course, Sansi is having no idea, he just kills the last of the demons that were trying to eat Emma, as Emma just looks on in shock and despair, which again shows that even though she is brave and she is a smart character, she still can be she can still have these emotions waiting through her, and the fact that she's escaped death for about the 50 billionth time in this series shows that she needs to, it just shows all in that face like, oh my god, I thought I was gone then. And to be honest, I really thought that Emma was actually going to go there, like they were actually going to kill off Emma and Ray was actually going to take off. That's for a tiny fraction of a second, when it was actually going into mouth, because it like when I first read it, it's like all seemed lost in that regard. And if it wasn't for Sansa arriving in time, Emma would have been dead. She would have straight up been dead. As Emma is going on and questioning like if Sansa is a man or not, we see him just actually going to actually stab Emma in the neck. Like you can see, like his sword is actually going to her neck, and again, Hatsumi has to step in and be like, "Stop, Sansa! This she's the one. She's one of us. She also saved our life." And he's like, "Ugh." And then we see Emma, and then we see Ray and Anna getting up and being like, "Emma," and they crowd around her. She's like, like she's just like in an absolute state of shock. State of shock to this point. Not just for the fact that the demons nearly actually tried to eat her, but the fact that Sansa thought that she was an enemy and he was actually prepared to stab her, which again, that's actually a very very logical thing for Sansa to do, because again, he did not know who Emma was, and even though she was going to be eaten by the demons, he also knew that she could have been potentially a member of the Ratari clan, and he was more like, I'm gonna just stab her, I'm not gonna ask questions, and I'm just gonna make sure that we are not captured in any way, shape or form, because I don't know this person, which again showing the greyness of this world, that yes, even humans can be out to kill. I mean, we don't know if Sansa is actually human because he's got the pink bag over his head. He could actually be one of those mutation clones, like sort of like similar to Adam. He could actually be similar to Adam, and he could have his brain not being the right set of mind at this point. As Anna goes on to say that she was so scared and she's so glad Emma is okay, we see Ray going, "Anna," and just giving like a brief smile, again showing like his more gentle side compared to his more cold, callous side that we saw at the beginning of the series, showing that he cares a lot about the siblings of Gracefield House more than he did back then. And we see a shot of Hatsumi just staring up at Sansa in like disgust, like, how could you actually think she was an actual enemy, Sansa? Just like that look, and then we see Ray again pointing his gun at Sansa, because again he probably just witnessed Sansa tried to kill Emma, so he's like really like unsure about it, but Emma reassures him like, no, this person saved me from the demons. And Ray goes on to question Hatsumi that if he's also part of Mr. Minerva's group, to which he confirms that yes, this is Sansa, a confidant of the boss, probably came to look for us because Jin and I took too long. And we see Sansa just grabbing Hatsui's head, and it's been like, it's probably like a phrase of like, what took you so long? And again, I love that about characters, how even though they don't really talk all that much, the fact that their actions speak louder than words. And again, in this situation, alone demonstrates that. And the situation with Emma, with him actually going to possibly stab her. I'm not sure if he was actually going to stab her, but it actually looked very suspicious, like how close that sword actually was to Emma's neck. And at this point, we really find out what Sansa's character actually is. He's sort of like the loyal dog that you have, like the obedient servant who just follows the boss and doesn't question it in regard. As Hatsumi goes on to say, he's really strong, but it's hard to know what he's thinking. And again, I love that about characters, like the fact that you can't tell what they're thinking, it's like you can't really tell what their allegiance is at certain points. And he might actually be on the side of Norman at this point, but he might actually turn traitor later on. And the fact that we don't know what his face actually looks like further emphasise that we don't know what he's thinking, so he could be a good guy, he could be a bad guy. And the fact that he was willing to stab Emma or interrogate her shows that he's not really that I wouldn't say he's a mean person, but he's not particularly the nicest person in the box. And he probably would be the guy that if you didn't disagree with Norman, he'd probably cut off your hand in a second. And he Hatsumi goes on to say we have no idea what he's thinking, and he only obeys the boss. He's a rabid dog. Be careful. Like again, showing like if you're not careful with him, like a dog, like a ravaged dog, they could actually bite you in the same way that Sansa could chop off your hand if you're not careful, if you disagree with his boss. And Emma goes on to say, a confidant of Mr. Minerva, the way he moved was amazing. He killed the demons with a sword, even cut through their masks, which again is very important if we go into a part later on where we actually have characters that actually use swords more than Sansa did, because I think Sansa's the first one that actually showed using a melee weapon to kill the demons, and it shows that they don't actually have to use guns all the time. They can actually use other weapons to actually get those demons masks, because all you have to do is just destroy the eye and then the demon's dead. Although with Lewis, like I was discussing on Discord, the fact that Lewis's body disappeared makes me think that he might actually come back at some point. As they wonder what Sansi's story is, and yeah, I would actually like to know that. I would actually like to know those four adults. I think they're adults. I think they're like 18 that were following Norman around. I'd like to know more about them, like how who they are, where they've come from, like do they have any relations to characters that we actually see? Because I feel like that guy in the waistcoat with the glasses and the way he dresses, I feel like he might be related to Pepe in some way. The girl that was like really ravaging about I want to eat the demons, she might be related to Gillian, just because even though she looks like she's very innocent, she's like, I could be a badass if I want to. But yeah, those four, I really want to find out more about them and like what their stories actually are. But this is so off when Ray goes, let's go, if we stay here more demons might come. And again, yeah, that's fact, they can't stay in one area very long. They have to keep on moving until they can actually get to the base that Norman, or as they know at this point, William Minerva is. And Anna goes, yes, I got the medicine, we should hurry back. And they're like, you're coming, come on, you're coming too, Sansi. And he just gives off like an arrogant grunt, which again makes me think like he's actually from the same plantation that Norman was in, like he was and Adam, like him and Adam were experimented on, so like he can't actually talk as much as he probably could in the past. And that's where the chapter ends. And it does say next chapter hits 6th of January, which again, because I was so busy and I wasn't feeling too well, and again because that was my birthday that week coming up, last week was my birthday week, I wanted to take a week off of just doing absolutely nothing. But now I'm getting into the chapter, we're getting into it now, so join me in the next chapter for chapter 118. And what did you think of this chapter, guys? Let me know. Okay guys, and now up to the chapter that gets me caught up on the series. So this is chapter 118, titled Meeting. And I'm just going to say right now, it's obviously a reference to the meeting with Emma and William Minerva, but as we'll learn at the end of the chapter, it's actually meeting the reunion between Emma and Norman, which is really glad, because we haven't actually seen Norman in like a good 50 chapters since that chapter where we actually focused on him in chapter 74, I believe it was, right after we found out that Adam knew Norman's number, despite him at the time, we didn't know that they had actually met. So yeah, that's really good. But also I'd like to point out here how we have the cover page which shows like all the characters basically in like a recording booth, which obviously a reference to the fact that the anime has been airing and is airing now, and it's just showing all the major players of this first season. So like Norman, Ray, Emma, Isabella and Sister Crone, and we just see like the demons as like the overlords, like the studio staff just overloading on everything and saying, and it might be a metaphor, it's like, get it right or you're gonna do it again. So the chapter picks up a little bit after the last chapter where they actually escape that plantation with the medicine, and we see the kids back regroup with each other, and we see all the kids looking at Sansi, and Nate going, a paper bag, why? And Limey and Tommy going, he's so big, what could he be? And we see Jemima just like have nothing to say before she comments on, his little tiger is so cute. And I didn't even notice the tiger. It was only like literally at this moment that I actually noticed the tiger. I've been like looking back over this chapter so much that I didn't even notice that tiger. Yeah, it is pretty cute, I've got to say that. But I just find that funny, like, he's so big, like Sansa is so big and so hovering over them, and the only thing that Jemima can come on is like, that tiger's so cute, and he's like, like, I try to be badass, and all I get is like, this tiger is cute. And we see Hattori just like blocking them off because he knows what Sansi is capable of, and like I said earlier, if you try to piss him off, he might actually try to cut your hand off or cut your head off, whatever. As Emma looks over Christy, she's informed that the medicine is actually working and it's stable at the moment, but they can't let their guard down, which again shows that even though they got the medicine, they're not out of the woods yet, and they need to actually be really careful on their toes at all times. And Gilda follows this up by saying, "Come on, Emma, you need to rest up too. You're almost crushed by a demon, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, you need to rest." And we see a look of Emma, like, even though she doesn't want to rest, she kind of like has to relate at this point, because they're not going to let that slide with the fact that she was nearly crushed by a demon. Or it could possibly be like a moment of worry about from Emma's character, like she was nearly eaten and she nearly lost her life in that regard, and she needs to be like really more careful from this point on about who actually goes on the mission and how much planning they have to go in, rather than just blindly running into things. As Emma announces that they should rest for now and get rested up, and they'll be on the move tomorrow, we see Adam and Oliver looking out, being like the lookouts for the group, and I'm pretty sure they do take turns in looking out. Like, Emma gets some rest and then she looks out with Ray, and they get some rest while Don and Gilda or Zack and Sandy look out for them. We then cut to 2 days later, where we see the groups just being amazed by just how massive the trees are. But again, this really shouldn't be new for them, because they've seen just how big trees can actually be. So this shouldn't be a surprise for them, even though they actually mentioned that these are bigger than the trees they've encountered before. It shouldn't really be that big of a surprise for them. It's only when they actually get into the trees themselves, which I'm going to spot, they do actually go inside the trees, that they should be actually amazed. As Oliver asks Jin if this is where the base is, Jin confirms that yes, it's only a few moments away from where they actually are. Ray goes on to observe that even though they are far away from the demon town, there are still wild demons in this forest, and he questions how could there be hundreds of humans in these trees being or a base that houses hundreds of humans. And again, that's a great observation on Ray's part, and it's a really legitimate question, which if I hadn't spoiled it before, it would have probably had you guys guessing. As to all question, like how can we find our way around? All the trees look the same. We see Hattori going, "I'll go up ahead and tell the boss you guys are coming. Jin and Sandy, can you make sure to bring them to safety?" Which Jin actually confirms that yes, they can. And we see Hattori stretching himself before we see him speeding off like Sonic the Hedgehog, just like he's like and just speeding up, and then we see them going, "Speed it, Hattori, he's fast," and we just see just the dumbfounded and shocked expression from Emma, Gilda, Jemima, and Dom, just like, "Whoa, we didn't realise how fast this guy can actually go." And we get a shocked expression of Ray going, "What was that?" Come to think of it, that time he was also again, Ray's always questioning, so we can't actually tell what he's actually thinking at this point. But I reckon it was he was probably thinking about the time when they were just in the plantation, and how speedy he actually was to actually find out where Ray actually was. But again, we don't know exactly what he's thinking, and he could be thinking something else at this point. As Jin goes on to say that they are there, we see them approaching them, and approaching like an entrance in the bark of the tree, and we see them going down and saying, "This is our base," and we get like this wide pan shot of just like this entire base full of just like bridges and libraries and medicine places to sleep, places to eat, kitchens and that. And it's really quite impressive, like how much these humans, even in the short amount of time in these past 2 years, are able to just build themselves up. And again, I feel like this is actually going to come back to bite them in the ass at some point. Like Peter Atari is going to find out, like, okay, they're all here, so now we can actually bomb them in one easy to kill swarm. I feel like that is going to happen at some point. But I feel like he was waiting for the Gracefield kids to actually get there themselves as well. As they're all looking around and being amazed about just how elaborate the base actually is, Jin goes on to say, "I don't know the details either, but these were the remains of a colony of some demon clan a long time ago. The demons in the towns don't know about it, which is why they don't come here." And Emma's like, "Shot a former demon colony, so now it can actually be a human colony." And even though I said like they built it up over the years, I still believe that they actually made some modifications as well. I actually got everything built up, because I don't believe everything was here in this base in the 2 years that it took from Gracefield House to where they are actually now. I feel like it took some time to actually build everything up and get supplies and food and everything from various areas. But it's still pretty impressive how they actually find a colony that was used by the demons that demons actually don't know about anymore, and it's really actually a clever idea to have them hidden in plain sight from the demons. But again, I feel like as soon as at some point Peter Atari is going to find out about this place, it's going to be leveled completely. As to being shown around, we get various sections being shown, including a pantry, a music place, a blacksmith's place, and like a hospital place where people can actually go and get themselves prepared. Or it might be a clothing place. That might actually be a tailor place that's they're actually seeing, and we see kids just actually waving at them like new arrivals have arrived. And it's thinking like, wow, it's really a town. There's everything you need here. All the children are actually smiling, and it just shows just how much it's actually come from the beginning of the series. How they were living in fear, but now they've actually found the happiness that they need. But the journey is not over yet. They actually have to get into human world, because that's the whole point of the series. Like they actually have to get into human world, or they actually have to first find the demon god and make a new promise, and then get into human world where they can actually live without the demons actually terrorizing them. And even then, that doesn't solve the problem of the demons, because I feel like at that point, once the promise has been broken and they're in the human world, I don't feel the story is going to be over there, because I feel like some demons will actually have to come after them. I feel like what they'll need to do is actually get into human world, regroup or something, or find allies in human world before actually launching a full-scale attack against the human world. I mean the demon world. Also something else as well. This actually gives like a really great dividing point, because now that we have this place where it's a town where all the humans can thrive, we can actually focus on certain smaller certain characters that haven't actually been focused on all that much, while also having characters that we have focused on take a back seat at this point. But so like we can have Dawn, Gilda, Gillian, Anna, Ray, Emma, Norman, obviously those ones, but also have like Sansi and these other adult characters that have actually been, even though I'd love to know a lot about these characters, who are actually welcoming them and saying, wow, they're really the escapees, welcome, and Emma confirming that this is the paradise that Mr. Minerva built, or confirming in her mind that this is what was built up, even though she doesn't know for the next few months that it's going to be Norman. I feel like this will give them a chance to actually divide off the characters and only focus on the major characters that we actually need to focus on. Which, again, if they were still outside, that would have been a problem, because there's too many characters. But the fact that they've actually found a safe haven for now means that we can actually find characters that we can actually focus on, like, okay, these are the characters that we're going to focus on for this section of chapters. As they're being welcomed and being offered tea and snacks, Ray notices that one of the kids, one of the kids that's actually handing, I believe it's Anna. Yeah, I believe it's Anna that's actually being handed the cup of tea. He notices the little tattoo and the number on his arm, and he's like questioning that because he's probably thinking about that with Adam, and like how that is similar to what is happening with Adam, which again might be him thinking like, maybe it's not as safe as we'd like to believe here. Maybe there is something sinister going on. There might be possibly a trail, or they might be actually trackers. They actually might be trackers for the actual Vitari clan and the demons. If Norman hasn't found a way to actually disable the trackers at this point. All this is interrupted when Hattori returns and says, Emma, the boss says he wants to meet you. And we see her going off with Sansi and Hattori going, I'll be right back. And her going, finally, I can meet Mr. Minerva. Yeah, you can, but it's not the Mr. Minerva that you probably is hoping for. It's not James. It's someone else that you've probably missed more and wanted to meet more in terms of just the actual emotional attachment you have for them, Emma. But anyway, she goes on to say, I have someone I want to introduce, William Minerva, and she's flashing back to when she was with Ray and Norman, and showing when they were in Gracefield House and the library, and pointing to that book, which again, this is probably the notion that she took, that Norman took, like Mr. Minerva is a force that's actually passed down through the legends. and he's sort of like taking on that mantle of being like Mr. Minerva as like the hope and the savior of this actual world, and getting the kids out of demon world into the human world. As Emma thinks back on everything that Mr. Minerva has done for her, how she's been able, with his help, to survive for the past 2 years, they reach Norman's door, which again, Mr. Minerva's door, Norman's door, and Hatsui knocks on it and says, "Boss, I've brought her," and he says, "Come on in." And as they open the door, Emma's face turns from like real nervousness to like real, just like, what? Like she's in a shock state at this point, because she's actually seen who it actually is, and she's probably like just in like that sort of like, what? How? She has lots of questions running through her mind that she actually can't pinpoint her mind at this point. And this is further evidenced by the fact when Norman goes, "Good job, Hatsui, you can go now," and he leaves, and we don't actually see Norman. It's just like, it's a big group, because it was the biggest reveal of last year that Norman was Mr. Minerva, and it was a great way to end off the year, or to actually start the year. Start the year. It was a great way to start the new year for the Promised Neverland, and just whet our appetites until the next chapter. And it says, "It took a while, but we finally meet." And Emma, we just see her going, "No way, how?" And again, that's the question everybody has at this point. Like, no, wait, how did Norman actually get out of this place? How did Norman actually get out of that place? And we just see another shot place, full pan spin with her just holding a pen, hoping that it was Mr. Minerva, and to give him the pen. But now she's just like in a shock state, and we see Norman's face for the first time in 2 years, and Emma going, "Norman," and that's where the chapter ends, with her saying that new chapter hits January 20th, which is this Sunday. So really excited about that. Next week I'm going to be talking about that a lot, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this chapter, and I've enjoyed talking about these 3 chapters, but my voice is drying up now, so I'm gonna end it in a bit. But anyway, looking at Norman's design, it's very much that he's had a growth spurt, and that's not really a problem for me, because anybody who's a fan of One Piece, I know I keep ripping on One Piece in these reviews, but again, people complain about things in the Promised Neverland that happen in One Piece, and I can point them out. Kobe, you know, the little pink-haired guy that we thought was going to be Luffy's sidekick, but went to join the Marines. When we found him in Water 7, he'd actually grown a bit, beefed himself up, and had a bit of a growth spurt himself. And that was only over about 2-3 months. This is over 2 years. So this is not really that far-fetched that Norman had a growth spurt. Yeah, I'm really glad he's back, and he's actually taken on the mantle of Mr. Minerva now. I'm pretty sure that when we get into chapter 119, not only is Emma just going to fling her arms around him and be like, "I missed you, Norman. I thought you were dead. I thought they had killed you." And he's going to be like, "I'm sure you have a lot of questions, Emma, but and we're going to sit down and we're going to explain them at this point." And he's going to meet everybody else, and they're just going to be like, "Norman's alive, Norman's alive, Norman's alive." And Ray's probably just going to... Him and Norman, Ray and Norman are probably going to have the same reaction that Lucas and Hugo had to meeting each other for the first time in like a decade. I feel like Norman and Ray are going to have the same reaction, or possibly they're all just going to have the same reaction. It's going to be like, "You idiot. Sorry I took so long." But anyway, guys, yeah, that was it. What did you guys think of these 3 chapters? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you next time for when we find out how Norman escaped and how he built up everything. Later, guys.